Welcome. I'm Diane Yellow certified psychic, medium clairvoyant. Today I'm going to talk about how we can communicate with others our concerns better. A lot of times in communication, we have emotions and drama attached to how we're feeling. Those feelings are important. However, we're the one that needs to deal with those feelings and emotions and get them in balance so that one can sit down and talk with another person. It's very important to pick the right time and the right place. Sometimes it isn't at that moment that something can be discussed. If the other person is not open or available or at the better stage of where they need to be to listen, put their ears on, and to be concerned to help with what is going on in the situation. Timing is very important. A lot of times we have emotional drama. Emotional drama makes us react right away. When we act right away, then we get all confused and we say things and we get out of control. And the next thing you know, it becomes just a he said, she said, she said, she said, he said, or whoever said. It's important is in communication, it means commune, talk, cation. It means that we be able to show to others how we're feeling. I suggest that each and every one of you start out with I feelings. Anytime that we come into somebody and say, for example, say you hurt me and said something that was untrue and very mean spirited, it would be important for me to work out on my emotions first. Of course, I'm going to be upset and angry and frustrated and all the different things that come along with it. Then you got to ask yourself, were you a bit mean spirited when you talked to someone or said something or did something? Could it be that there was an edge to your voice? There was something that did make you come across that way? If you know without a shadow of a doubt in your heart, mind, and soul that you did not, then you work it out and understand that maybe the other person was at a spot of where they were vulnerable and what they heard from you was something that didn't work and it came across as maybe from somebody else's feelings of a previous conversation. So it's very important to get the groundwork. And whenever you're going to communicate with somebody, make sure that the TV and that the Kindle and the cell phones and the music and whatever it is put away. You sit down and you talk with a person one on one, face to face. Look them in the eyes and say, when you start out, this is something that I've been dealing with, and this is how I feel about it, and I would like to share this with you. Is this the right time? Always find out where somebody is at. A lot of times we have disrespect that way. We call up somebody and we start blabbing. We don't say, is this a good time? We don't give them a chance to be at the right space for us to talk, even if we're going to say hello. I know this sounds a little bit prim and proper and outdated, but it really isn't. It's called respect. And a lot of times, if we would do that, we would find out that that wasn't exactly the right time to sit down and talk to somebody because they weren't receptive, they weren't open. And it does no good if somebody's not in the right place because it's just going to create feelings of more hurt, misunderstanding, lack of communication, and the idea that I'm not heard, nobody cares, and nobody pays attention to what I'm saying. These are things, tapes that we tell ourselves when we set ourselves up to fail. So, what I'm saying to you in your communication skills, a lot of times, each and every one of you set yourself up to fail. There's no reason to do that. Work out the emotional drama you have first. Ask yourself if it could be partially true. If it's partially true, then make amends with that with yourself and figure out what it is that's making you mean spirited. Is it because you're frustrated? If you're frustrated, then how are you going to rid this? What can you do with it? Write about it, talk about it, go play golf, go swim, go for a bike ride, put music on, dance, go cook, whatever it is that one needs to do to allow themselves to do something that is enjoyable gives you the space in your mind and your emotional base to figure it out. And I always say that unless it's pertinent, if you can give yourself a 24-hour period before you resolve the situation or jump into it, 9 times out of 10, you're going to find out that it wasn't that significant and you're not going to put it into perspective. You're going to let it go and accept that it's just part of what the other person was about that day. It really isn't personal, and I'm not going to take it personal. We take a lot of things personal because when we grow up, we have a lot of things thrown at us, and we never get past those. We get past the hurts of the early life, and then we carry it on into the rest of our life, our relationships, our work relationships, our friendships, and so forth. So it's very important in communication to give yourself the 24-hour period, think it through, think what your part was, think what you did, because we are responsible to respond to that. So you find out that in this situation that maybe you were a little bit mean-spirited and came across with manipulation or something on that order. Be honest with yourself, because if you're not, you're going to redo it again and again and again, and you're going to get people really upset with you, and you're going to end up having a lot of conflict in your life instead of peace and harmony. So once you decide that, yes, it needs to be talked about, you do know what your part is, there's nothing that we have to apologize. We just have to be aware of what we're doing. Then we make communication with the person, finding out when is a good time, can we come over and have a little chat together or meet somewhere for a chat. And again, it shouldn't be anything where it's too distracting or where other people can hear what's going on. And it's important that one never raise their voice when they're having conversations with people. We are talking, not screaming and yelling. A lot of families learn to scream and yell, and without the drama, they don't feel alive. That's not really true. It's just a behavior that you've learned, and it stirs up your physical and nervous system and your spirituality and everything beyond what you could see. If you could see with a red light scenario in your body when you change into those moments, how your body gets flamed and fired up and how stressful it is on your body, to bring that back down, you wouldn't be doing it, because it's going to cause problems and havoc down the road on you on a physical, emotional, and spiritual level. The most important thing is you want to be heard, and then you want to have a solution, because most of us don't want to give up our friends or the people that are in our lives that are doing things that are being hurtful to us. Most people want to be helpful. They really do. It's just when they get accused and condemned and put in a corner that everybody's going to come out fighting. That's natural. So you find out, you figure out what you're doing, and you figure out, yeah, I was a little sharp-tongued when I said something to so-and-so, and yeah, it could have come across that way. So I need to sit down and talk with this person. One, I need to make my amends of what I see happened here. And number two, I need to talk with this person of my preferences for our relationship. So when you figure all that out, then you make contact with the person, finding a good time and place for both of you to sit down and spend a short period of time. This doesn't need to be a lecture. This doesn't need to be a parental thing. This just needs to be two souls, two people talking and sharing together, looking for a positive outcome so they can understand each other better and move in a more positive direction. Say, for example, I was sitting down and talking with you, and there was something that I did that was a bit mean-spirited, and I can feel it. You know it in your heart and your gut and your soul if you've done something. Be honest with yourself and that. Don't cover it up. If you keep covering it up, then you're going to find out that you're lying to yourself, and that's the worst thing that you can do, is deny and lie to yourself. So you sit down and you see that, you did have a tone in your voice. You were irritated because of something that had happened earlier in the day, or you were disappointed in yourself because whatever goal you were setting, you failed and you got to start over. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We cannot blame and make excuses for other people putting us in the frame of mind that we're in. We put our own self in it, and we stay in it as long as we choose to do so. It's not other people making us anyway, especially after we're a time frame where we've grown up some. When we start to get 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, we pretty much know what we do and what we don't do, and we need to be accountable then, not live in denial or blame or shame of others or shame of ourselves. We need to speak up. We need to learn to speak up, but there's a healthy way and there's an unhealthy way. So I sit down and I find a time and sit down and I want to talk with this person. And I sit down and I thank them. Thank you for coming and giving me this time in this moment because this is important to me and I would hope it would be important to you. Then you start out with whatever I feel. This is how I feel. The other day when we were having communication, I felt that there was some mean-spirited that I had done with you. And, after thinking about it, I was right. I did. And I didn't mean to do that to you. And I will definitely work on that in the future to make sure that other emotions aren't coming into our relationship. And I also noticed that when you talked to me the other day, I felt like it was very parental. And I would prefer to have you talk with me on a more mature adult level. I know you meant well and you mean well, but for me, it puts me in a mindset that I get defensive. And I don't want to be defensive with you because I care very much about you and your friendship is important to me. What can we do to work this out? Then you let the other person put their wordage in. You listen. You don't interrupt each other. This is where people make a mistake. Somebody starts to say something, especially if it's an accusation. Always start out with what your role was in it. No, don't sit there and say, oh, I'm too sensitive. The other day I did this. No, 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 no. You just simply state the fact of yesterday I was sensitive or yesterday I was very mean-spirited. And I know that's how I came across. And I apologize for that. And I will work on that in the future to be aware and not let that happen. This is the promises that you make and you keep with people. And then you keep them. You don't promise something and not keep it. What if you're in a situation where you're not ready to apologize or you're not ready to have somebody apologize to you? Then you simply tell the person is, I understand what you're saying and I will want to talk with you. Right now, I'm still dealing with how I'm feeling about it. I want to work that out because I don't want to bring into this conversation something that's not a part of this conversation. It's something I've not dealt with in myself, my past, or someone else. And so bear with me and give me the space and time, and I will get back with you when this has balanced out. Then you accept that. Okay, that's fine. They're not in the right space. And then you put it up on the shelf. You don't hold a grudge. You don't go blab to everybody else about it. This is what we make a mistake of doing. Something happens to me with you, and then I go over and talk to your friend or talk to your husband or wife or somebody else, and I complain to them about what you did or I thought you did or what was happening. Well, then that makes us a victim of the circumstances. And we now draw in another person to make them a victim of our circumstances. And to be honest with you, all of us have enough situations in our life that we don't really have to deal with other people. So it's called dumping. Don't dump on other people your scenarios. And don't let them dump on you. If somebody starts to talk negative about something and is disturbing you, you simply say to them, I can see that you're very upset and I know that this is concerning to you. However, right at this time frame, I'm not really in a good space, so I can't be of a help to you. I can't not be a friend and just listen openly, so can we do this another time? Most people will say yes, and if they get all indignant and upset that you're not there for them, then they don't have the appreciation and the basic rules that I talked about in other videos down and in perspective. So it's very important to understand communication is what makes all relationships and all situations with our children, with our businesses, with anybody that we make contact with. It is what breaks down the trust and the bond so that we can grow and be open with each other. If you're a person that has a hard time speaking up the truth, it's important that you get your voice back and get it back in the right way. Sometimes you might have to practice in a mirror and watch yourself till you feel comfortable. Make sure that you know what you're saying. And I always tell everybody somewhere in your lifetime, you've got something on your phone that can record your voice or can record or anything. Just one day, when you're feeling really upset about something, turn that little recorder on and just talk your little heart out. Then listen back, and you're going to find out that if you were on the other end of this person that's talking, you wouldn't be very open and maybe receptive either. Maybe you can hear what you don't like about yourself that will make you learn to like yourself, or change what needs to be changed, or rearrange whatever needs to be rearranged. You are responsible for your communication skills. It is very important that parents get out there and start teaching their children how to have communication skills. I'm going to go into a second part of this communication with skills with parents, especially, of how to allow our children to start thinking. But in the meantime, get your communication skills with yourself. Make sure what you're saying to yourself is positive. If you're putting yourself down, then you're abusing you. You're not respecting your energy. You're not respecting the opportunity to be who you authentically are and be a contributing part to this life, your life, and whoever's in your life, and whatever you can give beyond that. So make sure that you start out with I statements. Make sure that you know that the timing is the right place. Make sure that you've thought it all through, because sometimes we get hurt and angry and we stab out, and then afterwards we go, oh, why did I do that? Or why did I send that text? Or why did I say that message? Or why did I do that on Facebook? You know, we're too much putting ourselves out there for the whole world. We're voicing our opinions, which is what we need to do. However, we are voicing them in all the wrong ways. Ways that can hurt people deeply, that can hurt yourself, that can hurt society. So let's start learning to communicate. And we communicate from the very beginning of how we're taught and communicated by those that take care of us. So I know each and every one of you can go above and beyond your circumstances. And it really is true. Think, feel, before you speak. Make sure you've heard what you've heard. Make sure you're separated, what your part is in it, because it does take two to react and act. It's all about our approach, our energy, the unseen energy, the messages behind the words, the edge to our voice, the victim to our voice, whatever it is. You're portraying to another person something of unokayness. And that's not what communication is. Communication is talking about what is affecting you as a person with another person and how to work it out. That's communications. And there are solutions to every situation that there is. And most people are willing to work out things because most people really want to belong and care. So again, each and every one of you, each day of your life, learn how to communicate better. There's lots of books, lots of videos, lots of examples out there in order how to communicate better. So make sure you know what you want to communicate too, because sometimes a lot of people don't even know how they're feeling except for angry. Angry is an emotion, but how are you really feeling underneath that angry? Are you feeling bad, sad, belittled, whatever it is? And we want to get to the point where we feel positive behind those emotions instead of negative. So until next time, I ask each and every one of you to go above and beyond your circumstances. I know that you can, I know that you will, and I know that you are. So until next time, I will be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.